find the future inside of me. I can find my promise, deepest parts of me. I can find my promise.
Welcome to the It's All About Pink Love podcast with Dr. Renair, the Pink Love Specialist.
Deepest parts of me. Arising from the dead to find the spirit inside myself. Taking love to the deepest parts of me. There's a power, the energy in my soul that sets me free. My heart is open for the heavens which supplies my source. And it's here. I can find my promise. I can find my future so clear. I can find my promise inside of me. I can find a future.
Hey love, thank you for joining me today. I'm Dr. Renair, the Pink Love Specialist, and I'm here to talk to you about how it is with all things that are pink love, because you know what? It's all about pink love. Pink love is that space in your heart, that heart energy, that heart chakra, the thing that teaches you how to love and be loved. We talk about how to heal, how to grow, how to be motivated to show up in the world a different way by taking care of your heart. I'm so glad to be here with you today, and it's the holiday season, and so I do know that not just through conversation, but through watching the world and through working with the people that I coach and all of the other type of social media posts and stuff, I do know that 2020, this holiday season, isn't the most wonderful time of year for everybody. And to those people that have been navigating this holiday season in pain because they have had loss during this year or even during this time, people that are navigating the coronavirus, just for all of you that need an extra prayer out in the world for you today, I am praying for you, and I am sending you a pink love energy right where you are in this moment as you're listening. So I hope you can feel it, as today we're going to be talking about the gifts we bring. Like on a bigger level, I don't know if you have ever gotten a gift that wasn't what you wanted. It wasn't what you wanted at all. You might have put a smile on your face and said thank you and told yourself that it's the thought that counts, but the next time that you had a good moment, you either put that thing in the back of your closet, you either returned it to the store, and I'm not talking about because the size wasn't right. You might even regifted it to somebody else, because I know a few people having a conversation, we were talking about, you've done that. Like, you get a gift, it's not for you, but you don't want to throw it away because you don't want to be insensitive to the fact that another individual went out their way, spent their time, or at least put a thought of you in their mind to pick you up a gift. So you don't want to be that person. Like, you don't want to be the person that absolutely rejects it. So you'll hold on to it. And the first holiday that you get, you'll re-gift it to someone else. When it comes to like the gifts that we bring, when we are shopping for other people, we may tend to try to, and I don't use try that often, but you may attempt to get a gift for them that speaks to them, unless you are like bulk buying gifts, like where you just buy a whole bunch of gifts and figure out who they go to. And, at the 11th hour, you typically will put a little thought into what you are giving to someone. You typically will want to make sure it's the right size, or maybe their favorite color, or even if it was something that you heard them mention 8 months ago, you'll want to get it for them because you know that is something that they would desire. But the deeper question is what kind of gifts do you bring to yourself? Do you put the same amount of effort in purchasing and shopping for someone else as you do for yourself? And of course, you know me, I'm not talking about physical gifts. But I often realize that we give people a greater consideration than what we give ourselves. We will not put the same effort into giving ourselves the same things that we give to others. We will not gauge what is appropriate, what is the right quote-unquote size at this time in our life. We won't buy a small when we know that we're large. We will attempt to make sure that we will give to others something that touches their heart, but be less likely to do the same for ourselves. So today, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the gifts we bring. And not just the gifts we bring, but how we treat ourselves and look out for ourselves in the process. So when we talk about gift giving, when we want to break that down outside of the physical attributes of gift giving, you still can use the idea of how we purchase gifts or how we give gifts to others and metaphorically apply it to ourselves. As I said earlier, do you put the same thought and care into how you take care of others, how you look out for others, how you want to see joy in other people's eyes as you do for yourself? Do you wrap these gifts in this beautiful, elaborate paper? Do you pay to maybe have it wrapped when they ship it, it already comes all pretty packaged all up with a bow on it? Are you a person that throws things in a bag and just hands it and says, here, with no thought or care for how it looks aesthetically? And the thing that I typically find out, when people have a certain train of thought around how they function with things, that tends to be how they function in other areas of their life. If you're a person that tends to be a little bit more considerate of other people, doesn't mean that you don't ever think about like this idea of, well, what if I don't want to, or what if I don't need to, or what if they don't receive it? Like, I'm not talking about the train of thought, but I often find that people that are ultra considerate of other people tend to, like, that manifests in other ways. It manifests in their relationship. It manifests in their dynamics with their coworkers. Like, they're ultra considerate on many levels. And I'm talking about genuinely considerate people. I'm not talking about those that shape shift to fit an agenda, because that's different. I often hear people, when they're talking about narcissists, or when they're talking about like certain entities or beings in their life, they'll say, well, I don't understand how everybody else doesn't see what I see. Because you may be exposed to this person on a different level. You may, like, say for instance, and I'm an advocate of domestic violence. I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. And sometimes when we're in trainings and we're in conversations about it, one of the things that comes up is how someone can be abusive at home, but to the world they look like the perfect spouse or the perfect mate. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that are genuinely overly considerate of other people. But I also find that people that are genuinely overly considerate of other people are often inconsiderate of themselves. They will burn themselves out. They will go to a large degree until they themselves can't even tell where they start and the other person ends. Sometimes they are compensating for something else. Maybe they are overindulging because they have the fear of not being liked. They are overcompensating because they need to keep this person in their life. There are various reasons that people do that. But what I'm saying is, when you have a person that is to the T on trying to make sure that other people are happy, then yeah, they probably will go out of their way, wrap the gift in this pretty bow in a way that it stands out from other people, because they just want you to know that they care, that they loved you enough to not just get a gift but want to make it beautiful for you. Then you have the other extreme, the people that are just throw it in the bag, no wrapper, no nothing, tag still on it. You can tell sometimes they accidentally leave the receipt in the bag. You can tell they just bought it 5 minutes ago, but they just didn't want you to think that they had forgotten about you, so they running around and there's no effort put into it. And I'm not talking about you last minute shoppers. That's a different conversation. But I'm really talking about those that don't put forth the same effort, but the bottom line is, I thought about you. That personality often shows up in their life the same way. They will be really large procrastinators. They might not put the same effort into presenting things to other people, but they're moving in the idea that I thought about you. Now, those, like I said, those are two different types of people, but those are the same types of personalities that show up in treatment to self. Either you are like overly indulgent on yourself, you've done some self-healing work, you are very clear that you are powerful, that you are worthy, that you are a dynamic and amazing human being, that you care for yourself in a certain type of way, and you move and just not making yourself beautiful on the outside, you make yourself beautiful on the inside, like the wrapper matches the gift. You know when that package comes in that is a Tiffany a blue box, like you know that, like you treat yourself like that. And then you have the other extreme, which shows up in personality of treating self, where you really don't put that much effort in, but at least you thought about yourself. You won't move in moving in your goals a certain type of way. You might procrastinate. And I'm not just talking about procrastinate because you work better under a timeline or a deadline. I know people like that. I think I'm one of those people. I'm just whispering that because I don't want my subconscious to grab onto that. But I'm joking. Whispering, it doesn't make any difference. My subconscious heard it. I know. But I think that when you have a certain care for yourself, you're not going to want to see yourself stressed out. You're not going to treat yourself any old kind of way. And so when you're the one that just doesn't really care, you're just doing it because it's an obligatory type of gesture. You're only doing it because if you don't do it, then you got to hear someone's mouth. It's kind of the same thing for yourself. Like, I'm only going to take care of myself to a degree. I'm going to take care of myself just enough so that I feel like that I'm treating myself well, but so that I don't have to hear my own mouth. I don't have to hear other people telling me things about myself. Or I'm going to do the bare minimum that makes me show up at least like I am a pretty gift, even if I don't have good things going on the outside. So we convince ourselves. We convince ourselves that if I don't give my best, I can still receive the best. And to be perfectly honest, I don't want to be this person, but that's not true. That's not even scientifically true. You're not going to plant one type of seed and reap a different type of outcome. When you fail to move in the greatness of who you are as it relates to taking care of yourself, what will come is a mediocre product. What will come is, and then I'm saying this as a person, I can remember having papers due. And again, I'm not necessarily talking to the people that work best under pressure, because some people do. And to a degree, I do. But I also know that working best under pressure is not the healthiest thing for me. Because what will happen is I will get to a point, if it starts to be too much pressure, like diamond kind of pressure, I'll conk out. I'll be like, never mind. And then, like a bad movie, in the last 5 minutes of the film, I'll jump up and say, no, I could do this. And I'll do it, but I know that I didn't do my best in it. And I think I talked to you before in a previous episode, so go back and find it. I talk about being bipolar. And I shared that can be difficult at times, because I had to become clear that when I press the limits on stress, on overwhelming myself or burdening myself in a certain kind of way, I've run the risk of getting a response that will shut me down in totality. And then I don't get done what it is that I need to do, or what gets done is not its best. And see, that's the thing about the gifts we bring. We have to know what the purpose of the gift is. If the purpose of the gift is to make a situation be understood through a lens of celebration, if the purpose of the gift is to let either yourself or the other individual know that you are acknowledging them in a celebratory manner, you are letting them know that you're thinking about them. You are letting them know that you love them. You are letting them know that you appreciate them. And the same when you get gifts for yourself, it's a way of marking this moment to say, I love myself enough. I saw that bag. I saw those earrings. I saw that briefcase. I saw that video game. I wanted to get that for myself because I deserve to have that. That is the same way that we have to show up in our lives. Like, I want to accomplish this for myself because I deserve that. I want to love on myself because I deserve that. I want to take myself to a spa day or go out on a night with my friends because I deserve that. We have to be willing to acknowledge that we are worthy of what is great. You will put a different kind of effort into pursuing your goals and your dreams when you acknowledge that you are great. You will show up for yourself a different kind of way when you acknowledge that you are great. If you are a speaker and you are stepping into a room, you're going to do your best to throw your shoulders back, get on that microphone, look out into that room, and give your all, even in the moment of fear, because you have to acknowledge, regardless of the fact you are in a position to give a message that you want to give, would want to be a great one. You don't want to get up there and be like, yeah, thank you for having me. Not sucking my teeth on purpose. Thank you for having me. And, yeah. You know why? Because A, that's not, that what does that do? And B, that's not worthy of who you are. That's not even worthy of your time. See, the thing about acknowledging the gifts that we bring, it becomes this space of saying, you know what? I bring something to the table, even if I only bring something to the table for myself. See, sometimes people think if they are not in a relationship with someone, That they don't have to do anything else. They don't have to do any additional work. They don't have to do any healing work, any spiritual work, any shadow work. They say, you know what, it's just me. And then when they get into a relationship, then they're like, oh, either they're going to say, I'm great, or they're going to say, oh, let me work on these things now. Let me go to therapy now. Let me get a coach now. Let me talk to my minister, pastor, or leader, or just confidant now. But it's harder to work on individual things while you are in a union or a couple, a companionship with someone, because you are now sharing your attention. But what will happen is those old things, those old issues, those old concerns will reemerge because while you had the space to address them, you did not. So when we talk about the gifts we bring, what are we bringing to other people? What are we bringing to ourselves? What is the present in the presence? That is the deeper question. So we get on this conversation, what is the present in the presence? What are you offering to people? If you can't offer a certain level, and there's a big dispute about this, and you're gonna, you've been listening to this long, so allow me to have like 2 more seconds of this tangent. That's saying you can't love others until you love yourself. And I watched a debate happen about this online, and people were saying that's not true. Someone can love you, and you can love other people even if you don't have yourself. So let me add something to that. Let me say this. If you don't love yourself, you will not have love yourself and love on yourself. Let me say that. You will not have an understanding of how you need to be loved. You will choose love that simply looks good instead of understanding that you want love that feels good. Because there's a difference. When you want a love that looks good, on paper it looks good. Maybe that friend or that boo or that or whatever, that job. See, when I'm talking about love, I'm talking about an expansive conversation of love. Because we often limit love to intimate relationships. We forget about platonic relationships. We forget about love in the essence of things, love in the essence of necessities. So people say, I love my job. I love my job. I wouldn't do anything else but my job. And then when they lose their job or something happens with their job, then they're completely heartbroken and have no idea what they're going to do, how they're going to be. It's all of that. So love is an expanded consciousness. And I think that sometimes we forget that we can love things that in our thought process doesn't qualify as a thing to love. A job, necessarily, we don't think that we love it the same way we love a person. Even an experience, your church, your connections. We may not think that we can love them the same way that we love a person, but you can. Because it's an expanded feeling, it's an emotion, it's a vibration. So when those things shift and change, you can be as heartbroken as you would be if someone left you at the altar. So when I say to you, when we're talking about loving someone else and not loving yourself, there is something reciprocal about understanding the vibration of love that you desire in your life. If I show up for myself and hold myself in an honorable place, that I am starting to understand what I like, what I don't like, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what I need and what I don't need, then when someone comes into my life, I am able, whether it's friend, family, and sometimes foe, because we keep frenemies, there's an idea of understanding the moment you give me something that doesn't feel good, my bells will go off. My bells will go off. And I'll be like, nope, this is not going to work. So when we are talking about the gifts that we bring, the core biggest thing to understand is that you have to have an understanding about yourself. You have to know what's in the package. You have to know that there's value to the package. You're not going to, and when we're talking about value, we're not talking about the price. Have something that costs you $2 that is it just means the world to you or to the person that you gave it to. So when we're talking about this conversation of the gifts that we bring, it just is important for you to evaluate what it is that you are giving. What is it that you are bringing to the table? How are you showing up in the world? What gifts are you bringing to others? What gifts are you bringing to yourself? So that's something to think about as you maneuver through this holiday season, and even as you show up in these Zoom chats, or if you're fortunate enough to be with some family and friends in the midst of everything that's going on with Corona, that what are you bringing when you come through the door? Not physically, not what you put in a box or put in a bag, but what gift are you bringing in the room? Is it a gift of peace and love and joy and laughter? Or is it drama, anger, noise? Are you engaging in conversation that feels good to you? Are you allowing what is happening around you or whoever is part of the event or the conversation to shift and alter who you are? At the end of the day, we play a part in the gifts that we bring, and we definitely play a part in what we allow ourselves to receive. So I hope as you go about your holiday that you continue to have a blessed one, and that it is one that you enjoy every gift that is present in the room. So I thank you for giving of your time today, and I look forward to us speaking soon. And remember, it's all about pink love. It's how you experience love, is how you show up, and it is how you be love. So in the interim, have a happy holiday, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Be blessed.
Thank you for joining Dr. Renair today. For ways to stay connected, please visit www.pinklovewellness.com. You can also follow her on social media. She is Renair Amen everywhere.